Welcome in, Foxborough Rush coming at you right now. And, well, there it is, the 53-man roster of the New England Patriots as they released it. You might zone in on the left side of the screen there. Yeah, one name crossed off. That, of course, wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, who asked to be released by the Patriots. Some reports, of course, that there was a trade in the works that was not finalized that would have sent him to the Minnesota Vikings. When that did not, in fact, happen, he asked for his release. So he is, the team granted him that, and he is now no longer part of this 53-man roster. Other reports indicate that had he been here as a New England Patriot still, he would have been ready to go, ready to practice today and back healthy again. But again, the wide receiver room is thinning out a little bit. We initially saw the Patriots keep 8 wide receivers on the roster, wondered where things were going to move a little bit, and now we have seen one of those moves. Welcome in, Foxborough Rush coming at you here. Annabelle Hasselbeck, Jade McCarthy with you in a fast and furious moving National Football League at this point in time, with those waiver claims having to be in just about an hour ago now. So, news continuing to come in here, Annabelle. And I said, as soon as I saw that release AB of Kendrick Bourne, I went, okay, so why was he on the original 53? Were they trying to deal him, right? Like, there had to be some reason that he was initially on that roster. And that's, of course, the reports that we have now heard at this point in time. Here we go. What do you think?
Here we go. Well, it's funny. There's just been so much that has gone down over the past few hours. I feel like I'm out of breath. Yeah, I've been sitting all day. I've been sitting, getting ready to talk about it. I can't even imagine how the players feel, number one, but also just what it's like in those NFL locker rooms and in those NFL buildings. But yeah, I mean, you looked at the 8 wide receivers that the Patriots took, and I don't think anyone thought that it was going to stay that way. So definitely interesting to see Kendrick Bourne go. I'm bummed. This was a guy who has a lot of charisma. We had him on Sports Spectrum earlier this spring, just someone who has a very contagious smile and brings a lot of energy, and was probably great for that wide receiver room. But like you said, he's the one who requested to get out of this situation, and you're wishing him the best.
Yeah, Tom Pelissero with the initial report that they were releasing him, and then Andrew Callahan with the details that they failed to finalize a trade. He also did report, Andrew Callahan, that they asked Kendrick Bourne to take a pay cut. They approached him about that yesterday. He is in the second year of a 3-year, $19.5 million deal, and he, or at least his parties, declined to take that pay cut. And then, as we said, has been reported that he asked for his release, and the Patriots have granted him such. So we'll continue to see what moves are made. There have been others made just in the past few moments with those waiver claims coming out. And this was one, AB, that, I actually wondered about the other day when I saw the Giants were releasing their quarterback who torched the Patriots in the third and final preseason game, Tommy DeVito. And lo and behold, he has been claimed by the New England Patriots. Of course, they made a run at him back in 2023 before he signed with that Giants practice squad. So after 2 seasons there, 12 games, 8 touchdowns with his hometown team, Tommy Cutlets is moving north to Boston with the Patriots claiming him. I said he torched him, right? I mean, he went 17 of 20, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns and 0 picks against the Patriots, 2s and 3s the other night. Yeah, exactly. I mean, all the energy. You want to talk about energy of that Giants quarterback room. Oh boy, I mean, throwing touchdown passes to each other. The only one who couldn't get in on that action the other night was Russ Wilson, because he actually didn't play in the game at all.
No, it was all 3 of the Giants quarterback who truly torched the Patriots in that preseason game. But listen, Drake May and Josh Dobbs are very poised people. They have a laid-back personality. This is going to add some juice, a little more swagger to the quarterback room. I mean, just watching that preseason game, I kind of had FOMO in the Giants quarterback room. Like, maybe not Russell Wilson, but like Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart coming out with his necklace and the aura there that the commentators wouldn't stop talking about. And then seeing Tommy DeVito come in and just do his thing in front of his home crowd. Like, they love that guy, right? Like, you kind of had a little bit of, wow, I could use some of that fun. So, yeah, very interesting to see. Not shocking that the Patriots were going to get another quarterback to add to this room, but kind of funny. Tommy DeVito, welcome to Boston.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wondering, like, is mom going to get an apartment and like do some hometown cooking up here? Like, how is this going to transpire? I mean, we know that was obviously a big part of how it played out in New York. We'll see what it's going to mean with his move up here to join the New England Patriots. It's funny when you talk about that quarterback room. I was reading something the other day talking about how, Jameis walked in one day and brought this huge watermelon into the quarterback room. And then eventually it was like, oh, it's for the kids. Like, he carried this watermelon around. And then after all the work was done for the day, chopped it up and shared it with the quarterbacks on the roster. So you never know what's going to happen with the quarterback room up there. But again, an addition here in New England with Tommy DeVito, being released by the Giants, and now he is here rounding out the quarterback room with Drake May and Joshua Dobbs in New England. So we'll continue to see what's going to happen there. Mike Vrabel is going to speak coming up here in just a bit down in Foxborough, so we will bring that to you. Another move that we want to report, this one also coming off of the waiver wire, the Patriots claiming Charles Woods, a defensive back out of the Los Angeles Rams. He was on a one-year deal with the Rams for just under $1 million, played his college ball down at SMU. So look, I mean, obviously the Patriots believe with this scheme that Vrabel has brought in, AB, that they had to make some moves there. And I think what we can fairly say is that we knew this was going to be a really fluid week. And obviously things are coming in quickly now with those waiver claims now being made public and being reported on. But the reality is I still think that there's going to be some movement here. I think there's some fluidity that the Patriots are trying to figure out exactly what this team is going to look like, when they actually get on the field against the Las Vegas Raiders in the opener.
Definitely. I think we've already had 3 of those Patriots 53-man roster graphics redone. So shout out to the communication team over in Foxborough. Keep going, guys. Cold brew all the way. Just
Stacey James, we love you.
Stacey James, keep it up. You guys are killing it. But no, there are going to be a lot more changes to come, and I think that's kind of what we had seen just by the initial 53-man roster. Also, just seeing the moves that are happening with these wide receiver rooms around the NFL, and when you saw that initial 53-man roster and it was 8 wide receivers, you knew something was going to go down with the Patriots. And they do have a ton of cap space, most in the NFL, and there haven't been any jaw-dropping free agent signs or trades yet. So maybe we can still look to see something in the future.
Yeah, and of course we did see the Vikings add a wide receiver. They get Adam Thielen from the Carolina Panthers, it sort of felt like that was in the works for a while. They just couldn't quite agree on the terms of a deal. They did wind up working that back out, so Thielen goes home to Minnesota. And we said, of course, the report that it was Minnesota that was interested in Kendrick Bourne here, and the Patriots just couldn't get that deal done. That being said, they move on from him and grant him his release. He's going to pick up somewhere, right? And, Albert Breer reporting that could be a place like San Francisco. They had interest in him previously. There's certainly some room there that they could add to. So that's one to keep tabs on. But I wouldn't be surprised, when we see Bourne popping up in another uniform somewhere on 31 other teams here across the National Football League. This is a time that it is very fluid, and we should note the Patriots have practice at 2:30 this afternoon, so that's a little bit over an hour from now. And this is always such a weird day, right? Because there's practice squad guys that the Patriots have nearby or close by. I heard a former GM speaking about this. And he was like, did we have him in our facility? I don't remember if we had him in our facility. Was it legal to have him in our facility? Maybe it was. I'm pretty sure they were there. It was hysterical to listen to him, try to remember. And all the teams do it a little bit differently. But the reality is that they're trying to keep these guys close, because as soon as waivers are done, they want to sign these guys, and then they want to trot them out and have them practice. Like I said, just over an hour from now. So it's a fluid situation. It's a busy time, in the facilities all across the country when it comes to this particular day, AB. And the Patriots are still working their way through a lot of that right now to try to get that practice squad set and to keep moving things forward. And obviously getting Charles Woods and Tommy DeVito on a plane and up here.
Yeah, well, and even just thinking for Kendrick Bourne, if he does go to the 49ers, that'll be a much longer flight probably than anywhere else that he could possibly be going. So timing is real, and yeah, once we hit this deadline, it's like, okay, the season is underway, and you gotta get going, get on that plane immediately.
Yeah. When you look at the rest of the Patriots releases and that 53-man roster, I think the one that really struck most people, is that former first round pick on the line, of course, in Cole Strange. 29 starts in 3 seasons here in New England, but they decide to move on from him. We've obviously heard and talked a lot about this offensive line and the importance of it. We all know what it looked like out there for Drake May a season ago, AB, and I'm pretty sure that if you got Drake by himself and he could speak freely, he would probably tell you it'd be nice to have something a little steadier in front of him. And the hope, of course, is that that's what they're going to work their way towards this year. We saw it with their first overall pick in Will Campbell, and what we've seen for him, obviously, has been, I think, what everybody wanted to see in the way in which he's approaching the position and the way in which he's approaching being a professional and a New England Patriot here. But moving on from a first round pick, as the Patriots did, look, the reality is there has been a regime change. So you're talking about a different strategy sometimes in terms of drafting and what's going to fit the bill. But it's not something that you ever really want to do because you really need to hit on those picks. And we were, you and I weren't here the other day, but I was talking the other day, with Casey, and it's like the depth is a real thing when it comes to this Patriots roster and trying to build out that depth. And when you're hitting on top picks, it is mighty hard to do that.
It is, and the Patriots have drafted poorly in the past couple years. That's why they have to do this, right? And unfortunately, you hate to see this happen to someone who had that potential, but I think it also shows a willingness to do whatever it takes to win from the New England Patriots. They're not just trying to, cover their butt and say, oh, well, we drafted this guy in the first round just a few years ago in 2022. We got to keep him around so that doesn't look bad. No, the Patriots are doing what they said they were doing when the Crafts hired Vrabel. They said, we want to win and we want to win now, right? And so I think for Patriots fans, you can look at that 2 ways. You can look at that, oh, look how poorly we drafted and we have to give this up. Or you can look at it as, okay, clean slate. We're going full new regime, fresh start, starting new, and really buying into this youth movement.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right. And, I've had conversations with a former GM who was like, the reality in this league is that everybody makes mistakes, but it's the people who are willing to cut ties and move on from those mistakes without letting them drag them down that find a way to move forward at a faster clip. And that's the reality, right? And it's not always easy. I think for most of us as people, just in general, it's not always easy to go, okay, yep, I screwed up, right? But the reality is the sooner you can, the sooner you can do it, the sooner you can own it, the better you're going to be able to move forward from it. And I think that's the reality of what we've seen happen, over the past 24, 48 hours here in New England is that this is Mike Vrabel's team. This is what he wants to build with his team. And he's going to make the moves that, he and Elliot Wolf and those who are there running the show believe need to be made in order to get them to a place where they can contend once again. And I still go back to that word patience, because I do think that there's going to be a big jump from where this team was a season ago. But I also think that there is a lack of depth and there is going to be a little bit of patience required here.
Yeah, and really the only positions that you have depth at right now is wide receiver or pure just numbers, right? And in the competition within that room itself and running back. So yeah, that's a serious thing. You talk about the offensive line letting go Cole Strange and okay, we're definitely better, right? But then what happens if Will Campbell gets hurt? What happens if Morgan Moses gets hurt? What happens if Jared Wilson gets hurt, right? And so I think that's a huge point that you bring up is, yes, it might be elevated and it might be better, but where are the Patriots with the depth? You can wipe away high draft picks and say, okay, well, we have a fresh start and we're moving on and take that positive angle. but yet there's still the depth issue, right? And that's why it matters to develop players over time and to draft young and to really pour into and invest in those guys who you can someday bring up and to be key core players for your program.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's where like the later draft rounds are significant, right? I mean, you like when you talk about day 3 of the draft, you have to hit on some of those guys, and you eventually want to be at a point where you don't have to draft to immediately trot guys out there. You can draft and be able to develop a little bit. And there are teams across the league that we see do that a little bit. The most notable one to me is probably the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, I mean, Howie Roseman was out there this morning and he was, we're not done. I am not ready to hand this team over to Nick Sirianni yet. I am going to do everything I can to make this the best 53 and the strongest 53 that I can. And obviously that's a team that's looking to defend a Super Bowl title. Nick Sirianni won't sit there and use that word because he's like, it's a new season and here we go. But the Eagles are at a point where they have the ability to develop because they do have more depth on their team. The Patriots have to get back to a place where they can do that and they can use that approach. But I do think that is the goal. That is the aim, of Mike Vrabel and everything that he is bringing into Foxborough here. And Robert Kraft has made it clear, like he wants to be back in the mix. He wants to be contending once again. So the 53-man roster, as we said, it is currently set. The news coming in that the Patriots claimed 2 players off of waivers, Charles Woods, a defensive back for the Los Angeles Rams, and then Tommy DeVito, the quarterback who roasted him the other night in the 3rd preseason game from the New York Giants. Kendrick Bourne has been released by the team. As we said, the report was that he asked for that release, and the Patriots had approached him about taking a pay cut, which he opted not to do. That, according to Andrew Callahan, and they were, reportedly trying to move him in a trade, but were not successful in that. So they ultimately wound up granting his release. So as we said, Mike Vrabel expected to speak here coming up not too long from now at Foxborough. We'll take a quick break and much more to get to on a very fluid day in the National Football League. Stick around. We're back with you in just a moment right here on Foxborough Rush. Foxborough Rush coming back at you on a fluid, fast-paced day in the National Football League. As we told you, the Patriots granting release of Kendrick Bourne. There is another report out there from ESPN's Nick Wagoner, who covers the San Francisco 49ers, that they are very interested in a reunion with him. His best year, of course, came back in the 2021 season. It was with Josh McDaniels, had 55 catches, 800 yards, 5 touchdowns that season. So maybe we will wind up seeing him in a San Francisco uniform. That's something to keep tabs on here. As we said, lots coming down at this point in time, and a couple practice squad players have now been signed by the New England Patriots. One of them, tight end G. Scott Jr., who, AB, as we were talking in the break, I heard a little whoop come from you in this one. So fill us in.
Yeah, I know. I'm fired up about G. Scott. I got to go to Ohio State and talk to him last year, right before they won the national championship. He's actually best friends with Travion Henderson, so the OSU ties run deep. But he's definitely more of that wide receiver tight end. They decided to keep Jack Westover, who they really moved to fullback from tight end on the 53-man roster. But yeah, excited to see G. Scott in there. He's a fierce competitor, great leader for the locker room as well. If you're talking about building a program and getting guys who are Mike Vrabel guys, driven, accountable. And so, yeah, really excited about this and pumped for G. Scott Jr. So let's go.
Yeah, congrats to him. He's been added to the practice squad. A couple other ones coming out here. Tom Pelissero reporting that the Patriots' 5th-round pick, Braden Swinson, has cleared waivers. He will re-sign with the team's practice squad. And I believe that there was another one that Mike Reese was reporting let's see, Truman Jones out of Harvard is also planning on signing with the Patriots practice squad. That, according to ESPN's Mike Reese, who, of course, has long since been covering this team. Undrafted cornerback Brandon Crossley out of SMU, who spent time in training camp with the Patriots, also plans to sign with the practice squad, according to a source. Again, that one coming from Mike Reese. So as we said, fast, fluid day across the National Football League, but the Patriots are trying to fill that 16-man practice squad. They obviously know who they want on it. They have those players nearby the facility, and once all the waivers came and went, they look to get those guys immediately signed. And as we said, practice coming up just about an hour from now. So they want to have all the business side of it done so they can get to the football side of it and get a good practice in and keep moving towards the regular season, which is not all that far from us at this point in time, a week from Sunday. So they'll continue to get set. Teams across the National Football League, of course, are doing this as well. And there's guys who are jumping on planes because deals have been finalized, whether it be someone who was claimed off of waivers. Nobody claiming a Patriots player off of waivers. We should mention none of the other 31 teams claiming someone who is here in New England. So that has happened before, where they've had a guy who they want to keep on a practice squad and they're unable to do so because another team swoops in and says, no, hold up, please. I would actually like to put that person on my 53-man roster. That does not happen this season, at least going into the season for the New England Patriots. But and then there's trades obviously that happen, and we mentioned the Adam Thielen trade a little bit ago that sends him back to Minnesota, a Vikings team that he saw a lot of success with, but Carolina, opting to move on from Thielen, and it'll be JJ McCarthy who will be tossing the ball to Adam Thielen now here, as Minnesota was looking to add a wideout to their room and is able to do just that, AB.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I think the shine on the Patriots isn't there like it has been in years before. So it might actually be a good thing that we have that here in New England, so that we could get our guys on the practice squad who we wanted and be able to keep everyone. I think that's an advantage of maybe not having, who are the Eagles guys? Who can we go poach from other teams, right? So definitely good for the Patriots and on that front.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So as I said, Adam Thielen moves on this one. The other thing that came out, across the National Football League that is probably worth noting for the Kansas City Chiefs, who will look to get back to a Super Bowl yet again this season. We know that really well. It doesn't quite feel the same when it's not your team doing it on a regular basis, but they'll look to do it. And their wide receiver, Rashee Rice, suspended 6 games. So that's coming official today. He's accepting that 6-game suspension. So they'll have to navigate that. Something tells me Patrick Mahomes will find a way, as he so often does. And Andy Reid, obviously one of the greatest offensive minds here in the game. They'll continue to navigate that in the early going there in Kansas City. Coming up a little bit later, we'll bring you some of our predictions for the season. That's always fun to do, AB. Were you sitting there like haggling over these, or did they come to you pretty quickly?
You know what? I will say some of them came to me pretty quickly, but then other ones that I was on the fence was like, man, we're talking about something in 6 months. I'm like, I mean, a lot could change in half a year. So it is pretty wild. I mean, we're still in August, so it's crazy to think about, but it's going to come before we know it. And I think it is interesting just to see how some of these, even wide receiver rooms, shake out, right? And you're going to say, hey, who's going to have to step up for these different teams? Obviously, injuries come up and can linger, right? And so I think, it's definitely realistic to have these conversations now. You see what happened to the Bengals not having a strong start, the last couple seasons, like that's a factor. So coming right out of the gates hot is important for these teams. So yeah, we can definitely talk about it for sure.
Yeah, it is. It is always interesting though, because even though the rosters are getting set here, you still have a lot of time before the trade deadline. There's coaches who will tell you that the first 3-4-ish games of the season, you're really kind of like getting your arms around what you have and what the feeling is of your team and what you need to move forward. And it's not the preseason, but it still feels like an extension a little bit. But those games, look, they matter just as much as any of the rest of them. So you got to find a way to stack the wins early when you can. But it is funny to try to do the predictions when so much can change across the NFL in the span of, the months that stack up the season, if you will. But again, the Patriots looking to finalize their roster. We know the 53 at this point in time. The big moves today is that they claim their third quarterback in their room, and Tommy DeVito from the New York Giants, and they also claim defensive back Charles Woods from the Rams. Still in the process of finalizing that practice squad here in New England. For you, AB, we talked about this a little bit earlier this week here, but I didn't have a chance to have the conversation with you. What will be the lasting impression of Vrabel's first camp here, first preseason here, as we get to get set to kick off his first campaign as the head coach of the New England Patriots?
Right when you asked me that question, immediately, no hesitation, just awesome. But like a gritty awesome. And I think that's what people from New England and who have that Boston identity would also say. You have your head coach getting in the trenches with your players. We got reports coming out of the first joint practice that he's bleeding at the cheek. He got in, like he's supporting his guys. And you see how he's conducted himself in front of the media. And I think that matters. Like as a head coach, you have to there's a lot of responsibilities. And one of them is talking to the media all the time. And so a coach that's able to present a strong face for this organization and for this team, be accountable, but also be human. Like you see how he calls these reporters out by their first name. You see how he treats people around the building and the respect that he has. And so I would say it's awesome. And this is exactly what the Patriots were hoping for. It's exactly what and what fans were hoping for.
Yeah. I go back to the way he started, effort and finish. And his team is going to put forth maximum effort and they're going to finish. And I think that that's something that he has really tried to instill since day one when he got the job here in Foxborough. And I think that is just going to be the reality for anyone who plays for this team. They're going to have that expectation of this is who we have to be, and I think Travion Henderson has embodied it with the way that he has spoken, in front of reporters, in the sense of I am the same, whether it's a good day, a bad day, a mediocre day, I'm going to show up, I'm going to put the work in, and that's who I'm always going to be. And I'm going to give that maximum effort. And that is what Mike Vrabel expects. And I think we're just going to see him continue to build upon that. Similarly to the way that I think that they're going to, continue to try to build upon this roster. They have their 53 at this point in time, but I don't think by any stretch of the means that means that they're not going to look for ways to improve if they think, there's improvement that can be had in a manner in which you're not, giving up your future, to do so. So we'll continue to keep tabs on that. As I said, Mike Vrabel getting ready to speak in Foxborough. We'll bring that to you as soon as we have some of it now. He is in front of the podium, I understand, in Foxborough. So we'll take a quick break here on Foxborough Rush, and you'll hear from the Patriots head coach on the other side. Back with you in just a moment. Foxborough Rush coming back at you on a fluid day in the National Football League. And as we have been telling you, some waiver claims, of course, came in, and the Patriots making a few moves and awarded two players off of waivers. One of them, the cornerback Charles Woods from the LA Rams. And the other one, well, you know him well because you saw him roast the Patriots the other night going up against their 2s and 3s. That would be former Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito. Who, the New York Post was flashing stories of him. He was the local guy who hit it, with the Giants, and he was going home and having dinner with mom and all the things. Tommy Cutlets, of course, was the nickname bestowed upon him. Well, here we go. Tommy DeVito is now a member of the New England Patriots. The quarterback room, now sits as Drake May, Joshua Dobbs, and Tommy DeVito. So the moves are made there. And look, AB, I mean, it's a way to strengthen a room. It's the most important position, in football. So if you believe that there's a guy out there that has the ability to add to your room, you're going to do it. I mean, that's just the reality of the position when it comes to this sport.
It is wild, and someone needs to come out with a multi-quarterback room documentary on just the preseason and training camp for this NFL season so far. I mean, the dynamic has been so interesting. I really am interested to know how Patriots fans are going to handle Tommy DeVito. Are they going to start doing this? Are they going to keep up the trend? Are they going to go with the storyline? Is it going to be a thing? Are they going to care? Truthfully, they might not even care. So we'll see what Patriots fans and how they react. But no, definitely a very interesting move, and like you said, the floodgates are coming. And this day, it's been wild already.
Yeah. The other big move, of course, in the release of Kendrick Bourne, he is healthy and he was expected to be out there at practice coming up less than an hour from now, had he not been released by the New England Patriots. But according to Andrew Callahan, they approached him about taking a pay cut. He declined and asked to be released, and they have granted him that. Of course, the first question, in my mind, and I said this a few moments ago, was why was he on the original 53 if you plan to release him? And we got our answer, in the sense that the Patriots were reportedly trying to trade him. They were trying to finalize a deal with the Minnesota Vikings. That did not go through. So this is the end result. There is, of course, still interest across the league. ESPN's 49ers reporter, Nick Wagoner, reporting that they are very interested in signing Kendrick Bourne. So in all likelihood, we are going to see him play in another uniform in the National Football League, but he will not be here in New England. 2021 was his best season when he hauled in, I believe it was 5 touchdowns for the Patriots, had about 800 yards. So look, The moves have been made here in Foxborough. Mike Vrabel is speaking there. We will bring that to you shortly right here on Foxborough Rush. But as of right now, this is the 53-man roster that the Patriots are going to go with. That does not mean, of course, AB, that they're done. And they'll continue to sign some of their practice squad players. As we said, that's something that they're working on. A couple of linemen, Jack Conley reportedly will sign with the practice squad. So the moves will continue to be made, but this is at least what they're starting with at this point in time. How do you feel about the 53-man roster in its current construction, AB?
Yeah, well, it's going to keep changing, as we know. I mean, even in these commercial breaks, we're like, okay, Tommy DeVito, okay, Conley. We are on the move. But I think a name that we haven't even brought up yet is Efton Chisholm. Let's go. This is a undrafted guy, a guy who months ago we were saying, you look great, but it's going to be a long shot. And he's on this roster, right? And we're letting go veterans like Kendrick Bourne. And so I think that's really exciting for the Patriots. It shows you a little bit about what they're trying to do, have a fresh start, really develop these players. Whether or not he stays on this initial roster, we'll see. But you definitely know if they're keeping him around up until this point, they definitely want to consider him to build him in this program.
Yeah, and I think he did too much in the preseason for them to risk, putting him on a practice squad. Nobody was claimed, that was part of this Patriots team. But I don't think he's one that they were going to take that risk with. I think he showed too much. And, I think Josh McDaniels, we've seen him have so much success with slot receivers in the past. Chisholm has a little bit of that squirrely nature. So I do think that he earned a spot. I said that right here on Monday. I said I expect him to be on the 53 and he is, right? I mean, and it was obviously, got a little banged up, didn't play in that third preseason game. But I think at that point, it was already clear that he had done enough to have a space on this Patriots team. I think when you look at the overall construction of this roster, there's definitely still room to improve. That's the reality of it. I don't think the Patriots are the only team saying that. Today, there's always room to improve. And I think most general managers and head coaches will tell you that across the league because they're always looking to gain any any edge that they can, however slight it may be. Because that can be the difference that turns a game. So they're always, going to continually look for improvement here. But I do think that we are starting to see the development of what this roster is going to look like under Mike Vrabel, the type of player that he wants on it, and the type of commitment that he wants, and the type of program that he's going to run here in New England.
Yeah, and he knows what he wants, right? I think that's why he's been so quick to get rid of guys like Cole Strange that a lot of people were surprised about, because you say, oh, that's a recent first rounder. But Vrabel knows what he wants. It's why he's brought in multiple guys from Tennessee. It might not be national names, but he knows them as players. He knows what he's going to get, but he also knows what they're like probably in the locker room, right? As people, hey, what personality am I bringing into my locker room? And that's something where if you don't have those months with a guy through training camp, you don't know, right? So do you hold on to a guy who maybe just gives you depth, but you know what you're going to get? Or do you go out and find someone who you know what they are on and off the field? And I think it's very obvious that Vrabel does have that clear-cut plan that you mentioned.
Yeah. And look, this is his implementing it. So they'll continue to look to get their practice squad players signed here in New England. Their practice is coming up at 2:30. So they're getting all the business done so they can move to the football side of things. And that's, of course, their emphasis. Mike Vrabel is kind of wrapping up his press conference. So we will have that for you coming up in just a few moments here on Foxborough Rush. We'll take a quick break here and hopefully have Vrabel for you on the other side and do some predictions when it comes to the 2025 campaign, which, come on, AB, it's getting close. Like we're almost there. We're almost to the regular season. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Let's go.
Welcome back into Foxborough Rush. As we said, we'll have Mike Vrabel coming up in just a moment here, so you can listen to the Patriots head coach on this day that the 53 is at least finalized for the moment, AB. But, we've talked a little bit about what the Patriots have done here in the past 24 to 48 hours and what they expect that they'll continue to do moving forward. I'm curious, when you look at this division this year, and let's just look within the AFC East, how do you think they can stack up, with the likes of Buffalo, obviously looking to make a run and get to the promised land where they have not been able to get in recent years? The New York Jets, obviously, with their new head coach and Aaron Glenn, in a similar situation to the Patriots, at least when it comes to having new leadership there. They're still trying to figure out the quarterback scenario, of course. And then the Miami Dolphins, who missed the playoffs for the first time last season under Mike McDaniel. How do you think the Patriots stack up in this division?
I think the Patriots are going to be second in that division because the Jets are going to be jetting and the Dolphins' culture is horrible, okay? If Mike Vrabel was the coach of the Miami Dolphins, what is going on would not fly 1 second, okay? So I think for that reason, in all the positives that we're talking about here on the show even today, I definitely think the Patriots are going to succeed far past the Jets and the Dolphins in this division, but I got to give it to the Bills. The next big thing for them, like you said, is the promised land. It's the Super Bowl, okay? This is a team that's Super Bowl or bust. Josh Allen has not had a Super Bowl with the Bills yet, and that's what he wants to do. Like, this is what Bills Mafia is hoping to carry them through, and so I think it's really hard to say that the Bills wouldn't take this division, but I got to give it to them. I think they're gonna go all the way with it.
Yeah, no, I do too. I mean, I think it is the Bills division for the taking, quite honestly. And we've seen them have dominance in this division, for the last 5-6 seasons now. So I expect that to continue. It's tough to go against Josh Allen and all he brings to the table. Sean McDermott, obviously the defensive mind there, who does so much, as the head coach on the defensive side of the ball. Will they be able to get past their kryptonite in the Kansas City Chiefs this season? It feels like that is always the question that we're asking. This could be the year. I do think that there's, a strong possibility that Buffalo can finally get there this year. But, when it comes to the way New England stacks up in this division, I think they're definitely going to top their 4-win campaign from a season ago. I definitely think, the arrow is pointing up, and things are headed upward here in Foxborough. I do think that some patience is going to be required, but I think the pieces are there, to start to build a program that can once again start to contend, in the division. And this is not, there are other divisions across the National Football League where you look at and you go, oh boy, like, like the NFC North, you're like, okay, like that, how many wins do you need to win, the NFC North? How many wins do you need, in the NFC East, with the Eagles and the Commanders, and what are the Cowboys going to be, and are they ever going to get Micah Parsons signed? But, story for another moment. But I do think that when you look at the AFC East, it's not that. Buffalo isn't looking at it going, okay, we got to win 14 games to win the division. That's just not accurate. I don't think that that's, the situation that the Patriots are faced with. But I do think that improvement is here. And, I think you look at this Patriots team and you go, okay, can they win 7, 8, 9 games? I'd say somewhere in there. I think 10 is probably a stretch.
10, it feels like a stretch because it's more than double of what the Patriots won last year. Okay, so that's I think just to begin with. And here's a tough reality is like you said with the NFC North, is 10 wins enough to even make it in the playoffs, right? Like teams that are succeeding so well, it's going to make it harder for everyone else. But I do think with the Patriots and their defense, I think they could be a top 10 defense. I do think you could have a 10-win season if you do sweep the Jets and sweep the Dolphins. Those are two variable winnable teams and games. The Buffalo Bills are not having that discussion, right? They've had a quiet training camp. Actually, no one's really talking about them. We got all this drama going on in Dallas, and really, I think they're going to be that dangerous team that has their eyes set on one goal. They're not worried about, are we going to beat the Patriots? Are we going to beat the Jets? Are we going to beat the Dolphins, right? And so, I think going back to the Patriots, though, it is very foreseeable that they could have success with a 10-win season. But even then, is that enough to compete with these teams that are doing really well? I mean, you could even just looking at their schedule, could you pull out a win against the Giants? Now you got Tommy DeVito. Can you bring some of that magic here? I don't know. The Falcons situation is interesting. Just with their quarterback situation, is Michael Penix, is he better than some of the other teams in their division, and see how they'll do? But I think when you look at the Patriots record from last season, to double it would be 8. And then if you're going to say, hey, we can really sweep the Jets and sweep the Dolphins, I think those are winnable opportunities to have a 10-win season.
Yeah, and of course, you look at the schedule, and the Patriots end, against the Dolphins, and the week before that, they play the Jets. So they might know going into it, okay, this is what we got to do if this is what we want to hit. Prior to that, they have the Ravens and the Bills, and the week before that, it's the Giants, as you said. So maybe Tommy DeVito will bring some intel for them to help them get them set, for that December 1st matchup against the New York Giants. Now that he's a member of the New England Patriots, but it is going to be interesting to see how this all transpires. This season for this team. So I think we're on the same page. We both take the Bills, to win the AFC East at this point. And I understand that we do have Mike Vrabel now, and he, of course, talking on the day that the Patriots make a couple claims off of waivers and part ways with Kendrick Bourne. Let's take a listen to the Patriots head coach.
Well, I mean, again, you're correct in saying that there are some moving parts. I feel great about where we're at, but we'll continue to look for ways to improve and what we feel like from a personnel standpoint, but also looking for ways to improve on the field. Today will be an important day for us. Just getting started here with the Raiders and the show team process and all that, and trying to get the looks that we need to try to begin the game planning and practice and some of that stuff.
Are there any spots would you be comfortable saying that you really want to target to try and look at?
No, I mean, I don't think that you really set out. You just try to focus on adding good players to your football team and whatever role that you envision for them, and kind of go from there. And so feel like we've improved through training camp, and then need to continue to improve through this process of preparing to win, and then also continuing to target players, whether that's today and the next few days as players become available.
Mike, understanding things are moving fast here. Tommy DeVito awarded on waivers. What does he bring you?
Well, again, I think that we'll confirm all those things later on, and we put a claim in for a couple guys, and I would say that just strengthening a roster, certainly at a premium position, and continuing to add pieces, whether that's offensively or defensively, or guys that we feel like can help us on special teams.
How much would somebody like Ryan's insight be valued with a player like that, having overlapped with him in New York?
What insight? I'm just...
Sorry, so Tommy DeVito
Yep.
and Ryan Cowden both with the Jets.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know what you said after the... well, I mean, we've had coaches and personnel people throughout the league at different spots. Whether that be me or Stretch or coaches or Ryan or anybody. I think that's just one part of the evaluation. Having some working knowledge of what the player's done in the building, how are they day to day, and we can all watch the performance and see what it looks like on the film, but the practice, the habits, how they are in the building, and how they prepare, and did they improve? I think those are some insights, whether it's this particular instance or if it's just somebody else that we're trying to target. So I think that can always help. It wasn't the main factor in this decision. Yeah. And again, Josh has has settled down in the games. And I think that there's been some mistakes, whether that was joint practice or practice, and we're all going to have mistakes. And then being able to, settle down in the games and perform and operate. And again, each move that we'll make may not be an indication of what the players are at that position. I think it's just looking to strengthen the overall roster construction.
How valuable and important has the practice squad become as it's evolved over the years?
Well, we were laughing the other day when it was 53 players and 5 guys on the practice squad, and we actually practiced and functioned, and now we'll have 70, and we'll be wondering how we can practice with that many players. So what it's given you a good blend of having some veterans that may be able to go in right away and be elevated. It also gives you an opportunity to develop some younger players, which you'll see when that list comes out. So you'll be able to kind of recognize both of those, who you may need some more time and want to invest some more time into them, or a veteran that's played in this league and would be ready to go if we needed to elevate them.
Along those lines, Mike, I wanted to ask about Brady Swinson, just given the draft status, the 5th down there. What type of camp did he have, and is he someone that we'll see on that practice squad list?
So again, that'll be out at 4, and there's always tough decisions that we have to make. So we have to do what's in the best interest of the football team, and that's why you practice, and there's a competition and there's games to evaluate and see how they respond. So that practice squad list will be out at 4, and it'll continue to I think change over the course of not only the next few days but probably the season.
You guys ended up
All right, so that was Mike Vrabel down at Foxborough speaking about some of the moves made by the Patriots. Not tipping his hat on anything when it comes to anyone on his roster. And of course, the practice squad, as he said, it comes out at 4. It comes out at 4. So you can check it then. But it is, it's 16 players at this point in time. So it is different. It has changed over the years. And you heard him talk a little bit about the importance of it. I just want to give a shout out to, he mentioned Stretch, who is, one of his right-hand guys down there, the 33rd team, and Ari Meyer, a friend of mine and an organization that I've worked with over the years, did a terrific spotlight on Stretch. You can find that on all the socials and on YouTube, but it's a great interview with a guy who is having a significant impact, here in Foxborough, and is part and parcel to what Mike Vrabel wants to do.
No, it's awesome. And I think you're seeing so much of this culture shine through. And even a press conference like that, when all things are concerned about the roster and what the practice squad's going to look like and what this 53-man roster is going to look like, he talked a lot about, okay, well, we can see what the player does on the field, but how are they in the building? What are their habits? And are they getting better throughout their time at practice? And I think that is why maybe we've seen some patience in the roster moves that the Patriots have made, because they're being more specific, not just with, okay, how are they as the athlete, but who am I bringing into this team? Because I'm not here for a one-win season. I'm here for the long term.
Yeah. I'm here to build something that is going to last. And when you're doing that, you have to make your decisions a little bit differently, because the reality is that they stay with you for a long period of time. And you also have to be willing to own the mistakes that you make and move on from some of the players that maybe aren't, within what you're looking to build your foundation upon. So look, the movement will continue. We will continue to bring all of it to you right here on Foxborough Rush. You can always catch us on Amazon, Apple, Spotify. You know the drill. I mean, it's just the way it goes, right? Thanks so much for being with us. Until next time, see ya.